In the last 24 hours, we've seen XRP's price shoot up just over 9% on the back of positive news that the XRP lawsuit against the SEC could be ending today in the US if an appeal isn't filed by the SEC. And this spike on the XRP price chart has led to the XRP market cap dominance here spike as well, like it did in this fractal from November last year when XRP's price did shoot to the upside, inching us closer here to the end of this potential fractal being over and hopefully seeing some outperformance on the XRP price chart here. On top of that, we have XRP acting quite similar to the way it did back in 2017 here, showing signs of the final stages of a corrective structure here after previously breaking out into a new time high, and that we could likely be in these last stages here like from 2017, except on today's chart as we have performed in quite a similar fashion, going in for what could be that final correction and potentially breaking out of a lot of ranges soon here for XRP. So we're going to jump into all that on today's video and have a look at what I'm seeing here on the charts after seeing quite a nice pump here on the XRP price chart in the last 24 hours. So let's jump into it. So the first thing I think is most important is to have a look at the Bitcoin price chart and understand where we are in Bitcoin's corrective structure here. And I do believe Bitcoin has been in a similar corrective wave to the way it acted last year at around the same time, and that we are likely still just putting in that C leg for this structure and trying to find our bottom here. And I think once that's found for here on Bitcoin at around 98,000, XRP should also find its bottom. However, in the short term here, you can see XRP is actually performing better than Bitcoin, which is represented here in the XRP market cap dominance, actually spiking to the upside here, like we have done so in the past, as seen on this fractal here, which is pulled from November last year before XRP actually shot to the upside. And as you can see, the entire way down, we have been following this fractal quite well. We've been finding support in similar areas, putting in quite similar structures, and now popping. And whether that be this moment here where we actually see the market cap dominance fractal pop in this moment, or if it's the spike that happened here, right now we are just inching closer to the end of this fractal. And what's great to see is that XRP is still following structure here and performing quite similar to the way it did in November before it took off. But it is nice to see XRP price pushing back to the upside here and actually outperforming Bitcoin and the rest of the market in a moment like this, similar to the way it has done in the past before things got exciting, just adding more confluence to the fact that XRP can perform like it did in November when things got exciting, and that we are quite close to that moment happening here, still just waiting for the dominance to break down. And I think that will happen when Bitcoin again goes in for that C leg and we do start to see Bitcoin's price actually break down and give us that $98,000 region, similar to the way it did on the right side here. And if you want to know more about why we're using this example and what we see here on the Bitcoin price chart, feel free to watch yesterday's Bitcoin analysis video where we break down exactly why price is performing the way it did on the right side here, and that we are likely in the final stages of putting in a low on Bitcoin here to wrap up this consolidation period, and then things can get exciting and rip to the upside like they did back in November last year, when at this exact same time here is when we actually seen this XRP dominance shoot to the upside. So Bitcoin mirroring structures that led to a potential breakout, and we also see XRP's market cap dominance here mimicking similar structures which did lead to a breakout. On top of that, we do see the XRP price chart mimicking structures which led to a breakout, similar to the way XRP did in 2017, which is also quite similar to the way Litecoin did in 2017 here, which then led to that full 4.36 extension that gave us the top of Litecoin back in 2017, and how that XRP structure is lining up the same way, and we believe it should push to those same levels. However, we do need those market conditions to happen on Bitcoin first, and we do need to see this XRP dominance break down before we can start to see XRP's price surge to the upside like Litecoin did and like XRP did in 2017. However, again, just inching closer and closer to that moment now after seeing XRP's market cap dominance spike in the last 24 hours right on time like it did in November of last year. So that's all I wanted to touch on in today's video. Not a whole lot to talk about, still just edging closer in this sideways consolidation. I know it's boring, I know it's painful, and it feels like it's lasted forever, and it has lasted months. However, this is the way crypto does work, and that during these times when people get bored and they zone out of the market and don't pay attention, this is when you start to see those setups and those structures form, which can lead to the breakout. And now it's a matter of being patient and being diligent, waiting for those opportunities to set themselves up and for those lows to come in and get set, which then provides the greatest buying opportunity for coins like XRP here, which can then surge to the upside. So I'll be back on Friday for the weekly recap video where we can hopefully have seen more price action play out here on Bitcoin, hopefully see this C wave come in and be closer to the end of this range coming to a completion, which should set things up quite nicely for XRP here, as we do believe it is coming towards the end of this consolidation structure. Until then, have a good rest of your week. I'll see you guys back on Friday.